Welcome to the Dream Stream. In this episode, we are exploring a sequence of 7 dreams that seem to tell a larger story when viewed together. While each dream stands on its own, they share a common thread: transition. Many of us know what it feels like to stand between chapters of life. One phase is ending, another has not yet fully begun. The old structures no longer fit, yet the new path is still emerging. During times like these, dreams often become guides, offering symbolic maps through uncertain terrain. Across these 7 dreams, we'll encounter unfinished homes, difficult stairways, train stations, conferences, new roles, distant coastlines, and shifting ground beneath our feet. Together, they form a journey through change, a movement from departure to discovery, from uncertainty to deeper foundations. Let's begin with our first dream. I am staying in a house with a back porch that looks unstable and neglected. As I step onto it, I notice how rickety it feels, as though parts of it could give way at any moment. Beyond the porch is a patio area, covered in peeling, rust-red paint. The whole scene looks worn down and unfinished. Looking at it, I feel frustrated. I make a comment about how this is exactly why I do not like living here. Everything seems incomplete, as though projects have been left undone for too long. I am outside because I have taken a bedsheet off my bed. There appears to be sand in it, and I intend to shake it out before moving on. Nearby, a person I know receives a text message and reacts with visible annoyance. I ask whether she has been asked to clear out my room. She confirms that she has. I begin thinking about how I could simply clear the room myself as I prepare to leave. At the same time, I recognize that the task has unexpectedly fallen onto her shoulders, though I also consider that she may be capable of handling some of the work. As I gather a few things from the porch, I notice several oversized magnetic puzzle pieces. They are shaped like continents from a giant magnetic world map. I pick them up, aware of them as part of the collection of items that still need attention before I move on. The dream ends with me standing amid this unfinished environment, surrounded by signs of departure, loose belongings, and the sense that a place is being left behind before everything has been completely put in order. The large map pieces remain in my hands, quietly suggesting thoughts of destinations, geography, and whatever part of the world may come next. The first dream leaves us standing amid an unfinished environment, aware that something is ending, but uncertain about what comes next. The belongings are not fully packed away. The work is not entirely complete. Yet the call to move forward is already present. In our next dream, that sense of transition becomes more active. Instead of simply recognizing that a chapter is ending, we find ourselves navigating obstacles, responsibilities, and complicated pathways while trying to carry something important from one place to another. I am helping a past acquaintance sell some of her belongings. We arrive at a house where one of the buyers lives, and I take a load of items to deliver. The approach to the house is unexpectedly difficult. The staircase leading up to the entrance is extremely steep, becoming almost ladder-like near the top. As I make my way upward, carrying the items, I accidentally snap off a piece of wooden trim near the doorway. For a moment, I consider trying to repair it before anyone notices, but I am already juggling too many things in my hands, and there does not seem to be an easy way to fix it. I leave the piece nearby, hoping someone will be able to reattach it later. When the buyer comes to the door, she mentions something about coming later. It sounds like a message she had previously tried to send to the person I am helping, but somehow it never reached her. Acting as a go-between, I call back down the steep staircase and relay the message. The buyer eventually hands me a packet containing payment for the items. Mixed in with the money are funds intended as tips for several people helping with the work, along with money designated for other purposes. Because my hands are full and I'm balancing on the awkward staircase, I simply accept the packet without examining it closely. I begin making my way back down. As I descend, I realize that I have chosen an unusually difficult route through the house. The buyer and another person are seated at a computer, apparently working from home, while I navigate what feels like an obstacle course. Furniture, household items, and even objects with flames coming from them clutter the path. I carefully step over and around everything, trying not to trip, knock anything over, or brush against the fire. As I pick my way through the maze, I notice there may have been an easier route around the edge of the room. Looking back, I wonder why I chose the hardest path through the middle. Continuing toward the exit, I pass through a breezeway and encounter a man who points out an item of clothing on the floor, perhaps shorts or a bathing suit. He seems to be confirming advice I gave him earlier. Although I'm not entirely sure what he is talking about, I nod politely and acknowledge him. Further along, I think about the money packet. I wonder whether I should point out which portion was intended as tips for the others helping with the project, so it can be distributed properly. While descending the staircase, I also notice a relative of the buyer assembling wooden handicrafts. Watching them work reminds me of the trim piece I broke near the entrance. Since I could not easily repair it myself, I left it near the damaged area. Seeing someone skilled with woodwork nearby reassures me that they will likely find it and know exactly how to fix it. The dream closes with me carrying responsibilities in multiple directions at once, managing deliveries, handling money, relaying messages, avoiding hazards, and trying to account for small mistakes along the way. Yet beneath all of it is a growing realization that there may have been a simpler route available the entire time. The second dream asks an important question. Is there an easier way forward than the one we've been taking? After struggling through steep stairways, cluttered rooms, and unexpected hazards, the focus shifts from overcoming obstacles to finding direction itself. The next dream places us in a train station, a classic symbol of transition, departure, and choosing the next destination. I am talking with a young boy and ask him about his father. His response comes with the timing of a joke. He looks at me and says, "Well, do you got time?" The answer carries the feeling that there is a long story behind it, far more than could be explained in a quick conversation. The scene shifts, and I find myself floating through the hallways of a large train station. Sometimes I am indoors, gliding beneath ceilings and signs. Other times, I move through open-air sections connected by ramps and passageways. I drift effortlessly, rising and falling as I travel, occasionally ducking to avoid hanging signs when I float too high. As I continue through the station, I hear a military man calling out directions to travelers. He explains that the train is departing from either side of the platform and points people toward the appropriate gates. As I float by, I respond respectfully. "Thank you, sir." I continue onward, passing signs and numbers on the walls, 31, 32, and others. I try to remember a number someone had previously directed me toward, wondering whether I am heading the right way. At several points, I look out windows, hoping to catch sight of the train itself. I think I glimpse it in the distance, but I'm not entirely sure. Eventually, I come to a doorway and wonder if I have already passed the place I was supposed to exit. I turn back and look through it, trying to determine whether this is the correct route. It does not quite feel right, so I continue moving. Further ahead, I see an area where conductors and railway staff appear to be working behind windows. The sight gives me confidence that I'm getting closer to where I need to be. Rather than continue searching from inside the station, I decide it may be best to simply go out onto the platform itself and find the train directly. The dream ends with me still in motion, guided by signs, directions, and glimpses of my destination, yet ultimately relying on my own judgment. The train is somewhere nearby. I know I am getting closer, even if I have not fully arrived at the right platform yet. The journey is less about having all the answers and more about continuing forward until the path becomes clear. In the train station, guidance appears in fragments. There are signs, numbers, announcements, and glimpses of the train, but no single instruction that solves everything. The dreamer must keep moving. The next dream continues this theme by placing us inside a different kind of orientation. Instead of searching for the correct platform, we're invited into a game whose rules we don't yet understand. I arrive at a conference where a well-known speaker is preparing to begin an event. A few other people arrive with me, and as we enter, I hear my name acknowledged. There is a sense that we have made it just in time. I glance at the clock and notice that only a few minutes remain before the conference is scheduled to begin. Wanting to get organized, I place my workbook and a few other belongings into a bag and tidy everything up before heading inside. Once settled, I find a seat and prepare for the event. The conference begins with an icebreaker game involving 4 corners of the room. Each participant has a number, and mine is number 1. The corners themselves are numbered as well, and we are instructed to move around based on various prompts and rules. One prompt asks whether we prefer cowboys or farmers. Other factors seem to influence where we are supposed to stand, including our assigned number, and even details like gloves we are wearing. One glove has a button sewn into the palm, and whether it is on the left or right hand appears to matter. The game feels complicated. People move from corner to corner according to rules I do not completely understand. I do my best to follow along and find my place. At one point, the conference leader comes over to the corner where I am standing. Nearby is a coat rack, which appears unstable and slightly tilted. Another attendee and I begin examining it, trying to figure out how to stabilize it. I discover a support mechanism near the base that can be adjusted to make the rack stand securely. Before I can explain, the other attendee expands the support and fixes the problem. When the leader notices, I tell him that she fixed it, happily giving her the credit even though I had first identified the solution. A little later, the same attendee hands me a lighter. It may be broken or at least not working correctly. I make some comment about it, and she reacts with playful annoyance before walking away. I decide to throw away the lighter and some leftover conference materials that seem unnecessary. As I head toward the trash, however, I notice that the game appears ready to begin again. I hesitate. For a moment, I move toward the trash can. Then I turn back toward my assigned corner. Then, I reconsider. Finally, I return to my corner and settle into place. It feels as though everyone, including the conference leader, is waiting for me to be fully present before proceeding. Once I am back where I belong, he gives me a brief salute. The gesture feels both welcoming and affirming. I have the impression that he is glad I am there. I also sense that I may be one of the participants who completed the assignment preparation beforehand and took the event seriously. There is a quiet feeling of mutual recognition between student and teacher. The dream ends with me standing in my designated corner, ready to participate in a game whose full mechanics I do not yet understand. Even so, I have arrived on time, found my position, and settled into place. Whatever comes next, I am now part of it. The conference dream introduces a new stage of the journey. We arrive, find our place, and begin participating even before fully understanding the mechanics of what is unfolding. But finding a place is not the same thing as finding the right place. The next dream explores that distinction through questions of vocation, identity, and whether a particular role truly fits who we are becoming. I am considering bringing a small toy kitchen into a classroom where I will be teaching. The little play kitchen seems useful at first, but the more I think about it, the less practical it becomes. It would be difficult to transport back and forth every day, and there are suggestions that it may not even be appropriate for the setting. Someone confirms my suspicions, whether because of the school policies or simply because it does not fit the environment. The toy kitchen does not seem like something that belongs there. I let the idea go. Later, I arrive at a school around 3 o'clock in the afternoon alongside another woman who appears to be standing in a similar position. Together, we enter through the front doors and head toward the principal's office for what seems to be an orientation. As we make our way inside, an alarm sounds. Immediately, security personnel want to know whether I have checked in with my badge. I realize I have not. I walk over to address the issue, wondering whether the badge I am carrying even belongs to this school. It feels like it may be from a previous workplace. Someone scans it while a security officer tries to verify my identity. I show him my name, and after a brief review, I am cleared to proceed. Once that hurdle is behind me, the principal emerges and begins leading us through orientation. As we walk, I find myself wondering whether this is simply an introduction or whether I am expected to start teaching immediately. I am still wearing casual clothes, including sneakers, and I do not feel prepared for a first day on the job. The principal makes a remark about wanting to know where I am at all times so that I am not hiding out in a bathroom somewhere. The comment catches my attention. I wonder whether she thinks I might avoid my responsibilities or disappear when things become difficult. As we continue, she begins singing. While singing, she guides us through a specific path around the lobby area. We stop at certain points, observe particular features, and move through the space in a carefully choreographed pattern. Different lights and locations seem important to the sequence. I follow along, but internally I am having doubts. The more I experience the orientation, the more I question whether teaching young children is truly a good fit for me. I remember having similar feelings in the past. I do not dislike children, but I cannot see myself thriving in this role full time. I start reviewing the commitment I may have made. Perhaps it is only a few evenings a week. That seems manageable. But if this were a full-time daytime position, I cannot imagine myself wanting to stay in it. As these thoughts continue, I compare teaching to other types of work I have done. Office work comes to mind, work that feels more aligned with my natural strengths and interests. The principal continues her song and her tour, while I continue quietly evaluating my place within it all. The dream ends not with a decision, but with an honest recognition. I am moving through a new opportunity, learning its expectations and requirements, yet questioning whether the role truly belongs to me. The path is available, but the deeper question remains unresolved. Is this actually where I am meant to be? Or is it simply helping me understand more clearly where I am not? The teacher dream presents a moment of honest self-assessment. Some paths are available to us simply because they exist. Others are available because they genuinely belong to us. Knowing the difference is part of the journey. In the next dream, the questioning gives way to action. The mission begins. The destination remains uncertain, but the call to move forward can no longer be postponed. I am standing with a group of people on a beautiful Greek beach. The shoreline curves around a sheltered bay bordered by rocky cliffs. The water is remarkably clear, revealing large natural stone ledges beneath the surface. The seabed descends in visible steps, each level dropping deeper while remaining perfectly visible through the crystal blue water. Nearby, a very large man is engaged in conversation with several others. He seems particularly attentive to language, correcting people when they use terms imprecisely. As the discussion continues, he points out how certain words can carry unintended meanings or even sound insulting depending on how they are heard. The conversation becomes less about the specific topic and more about the importance of understanding what words imply. The scene has the feeling of a movie. In fact, it gradually becomes clear that we are inside something resembling a Mission Impossible adventure. Some local residents swim in the bay despite indications that people are not supposed to be in the water. Nearby, a large boulder bears an inscription carved into its surface. Members of our team study it carefully, believing it may contain information about changing tides, rising waters, or some future event. As we watch, time seems to accelerate. The day begins slipping toward evening. Far out at sea, barges appear on the horizon. Slowly they draw closer. There is a growing sense that these vessels represent an approaching threat. Some believe they may be connected to a coming disaster, perhaps flooding, earthquakes, or another large-scale event. Whatever the danger may be, it feels inevitable and steadily advancing toward shore. The tide rises. The light fades. The barges continue approaching. Eventually, one of them reaches the beach. Its ramp lowers onto the shoreline. People begin boarding. I am wearing a long, heavy, cape-like garment. Without hesitation, I walk into the water, approach the ramp, and step aboard. The mission continues. Later, I find myself walking through a nearby coastal town dressed in costume. The outfit conceals my identity, making me appear as just another mysterious figure among the crowds. A local woman passes me and asks in her accent, "Who are you?" I keep moving. Afterward, I glance back to see whether she is still watching me. She is, but I continue forward without answering. Maintaining the disguise feels important. At another point in the adventure, there is a suggestion that two members of the team might finally get a chance to relax together and take a bath. The idea is immediately interrupted by a call to action. I joke that the mission will probably prevent that from happening now, but perhaps there will be time for it at the end of the story. The mission always comes first. Later still, our team is traveling together in a van. Looking at the situation, I realize there is still a long way to go before the adventure concludes. I joke with the others about whether we will all be attending the team meeting today. What I really mean is that our journey is taking so long that we will almost certainly need to stop for lunch together before reaching home. The others seem unconvinced. Perhaps they believe we will arrive sooner than I expect. Before all of this, there had been another challenge, simply locating the destination in the first place. I remember studying maps and trying to identify a coastal region with a name that sounded something like Arenal del Luna. The search itself became part of the adventure. The location appeared difficult to pinpoint among a larger group of islands and coastal regions, requiring patience and careful navigation. The dream ends with the mission still underway. The destination has not been fully reached. The threats have not completely arrived. The identity behind the costume remains hidden. Yet, despite the uncertainty, the journey continues forward. The team remains together. The map is gradually becoming clearer, and there is a quiet confidence that the story is moving toward its next chapter, even if the final destination still lies somewhere beyond the horizon. The mission across distant shores brings us face to face with uncertainty, hidden identities, approaching challenges, and destinations that remain just beyond reach. Yet beneath every journey, lies a deeper question. What foundation is supporting the traveler? The final dream turns away from maps, trains, conferences, and missions to examine the ground itself. It asks, what happens when the structures beneath us begin to shift? I am outside, near a well-like pump that rises from the earth. Nearby, a young woman is talking with my father about video games. She mentions an old Nintendo game based on a movie, and I find myself wondering whether, if I had kept my own game system over the years, I might have collected unusual games like that along the way. My attention turns to the ground. The pump stands within a square plot of exposed soil, roughly 10 feet by 10 feet. Around it, the earth looks uneven, as though work has been done beneath the surface. I am holding a pickaxe and using it to pull loose dirt downward along the side of the pump. My intention is simple. I want to fill in what appears to be gaps around buried pipes below the ground level. As I chip away and move the soil, the dirt begins settling into the spaces beneath it. At first, everything seems normal. Then I notice the ground slowly sinking. The depression spreads wider than I expected. What begins as a small shift near the pump gradually extends across the entire plot. The soil trembles and starts collapsing inward. Before long, I feel myself sinking along with it. I try to pull myself toward the edge of the square, reaching for more stable ground. But something is wrong. My strength is fading. An overwhelming lethargy comes over me. Even the simple act of pulling myself a short distance feels incredibly difficult. My movements become slow and heavy, as though all my energy has drained away. I try to call for help. Help! The word barely comes out. I attempt again, still weak. A third time. Finally, my father hears me. I struggle to explain what is happening. The ground is falling in. Even speaking feels exhausting. My words come out painfully slow, matching the sluggishness that has overtaken my body. I'm moving so slow. The soil continues shifting around me as I fight to stay above it. My father comes over and reaches toward me. He understands that I need help. As the ground gives way beneath my feet, he moves in to pull me out. The dream ends in that moment of rescue, standing at the edge between sinking and stability, between exhaustion and support. What began as an effort to strengthen the foundation around the well revealed hidden instability beneath the surface. Yet when the ground could no longer support me on its own, help arrived from outside the collapse. The final image is not one of failure, but of assistance. A hand extended when the foundation beneath me could no longer carry the weight alone. As these 7 dreams unfold, a larger story emerges. The journey begins with leaving behind an unfinished place. It continues through obstacles, searches for direction, attempts to find the right role, and ventures into unfamiliar territory. Along the way, there are moments of uncertainty, moments of preparation, and moments when the path forward seems hidden. Yet the final dream reveals something important. The destination is not the only thing that matters. Beneath every transition is the question of foundation. Beneath every journey is the need for support. Beneath every new chapter is the work of creating stable ground on which the next phase of life can stand. These dreams do not provide a simple answer about where the road leads. Instead, they offer something perhaps more valuable, a portrait of what it feels like to navigate the crossing itself. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the dream stream. Until next time, sleep well, and welcome whatever you're ready to receive.